He followed all the rules of the sacred manual, but ended up dead like a mere experience stepping stone for greedy heroes. Now, with a second chance 15 years in the past, he decided to send the script to hell. Exiled in the most deadly region of the world, he will rewrite his story, breaking all traditions. Kidnap the strongest princess by mistake? Sell demonic energy for money? Hire human mercenaries? Anything goes. Prepare yourself to follow the revenge of the demon king who decided to play dirty to dominate the world. Our story begins already in the middle of a big shit, and in this moment a being is vomiting a red liquid, and in thought he asks himself when this happened. Because when the brutal reality hits us head on and we cannot comprehend it, the mind collapses, guiding us to a deep state of denial. Facing the massacre scenario in his own hall, he finally faces the truth he ignored. He was blind, completely unaware of his own reality. He observes the group of heroes in front of him, and asks why the black flames, his greatest pride and devastating power, failed miserably to eliminate his enemies. The demon king feels the cold steel crossing his scales that previously were impenetrable. Then he questions, incredulous, how the blade of the god of the sword could wound his heart. The blood flows and the vision blurs, but the pain is smaller than the confusion. In his mind, only one question echoes incessantly: how did this happen? This makes no sense. In the military academy, he was a superior existence, an unreachable genius who graduated with the highest honors among all. He dedicated his life to studying the patterns of the demon king. Nobody researched more deeply that ancient theory, and he followed every rule to the letter. As the classic script commanded, he raised shadowy towers and kidnapped defenseless princesses, creating the perfect scenario to challenge the adventurers. For a demon king, the anguish of the heroes is the supreme feast. Killing them early would be a waste. It was necessary to savor their hatred slowly. His help was cultivating them like cattle, make them grow to, in the end, devour them. After all, the stronger the hero, the more flavorful his meat is. He absorbed the sadness and fury of the masses to feed his power. Following the manual, he became the supreme demon king, the strongest existence of all. Then he questions himself why he is there, defeated on his own throne. If he did everything right, if he was the strongest, why was he the one who fell at the end of this story? The logic does not hold, and his mind spins in search of an answer. How was a perfect being surpassed? He demands to know, how is this possible? The hero only smiles with pure mockery. He mocks the villain's confusion, saying that all demon kings always repeat the same phrases when they lose. The warrior looks at him with pity, inverting the blame, says that they bring this disgrace upon themselves and are the only ones blind to the obvious that is happening. Nonsense. The protagonist refuses to accept this arrogance. The blood boils in his veins and the indignation overflows. Nothing he says makes the slightest sense. But in this moment, the hero begins to explain the mistakes, says that kidnapping the princess and leaving clues is not strategy, it is a formal invitation to death. The hero yells in his face, exposing his stupidity. If it were him, he would have killed the human king immediately, plunging the entire kingdom into absolute chaos. He continues his lesson of practical villainy. Kidnapping the king would generate internal conflict for the throne, and the hatred of humans would never be focused on the demon king. But for the protagonist, this was unacceptable. The sacred book said that without the direct hatred of the masses, his growth would stagnate. He was trapped to the rules. The hero mocks his help, says that sending monsters to the villages was not an attack, it was just a free home delivery XP service. And coming to the tower? For them, this is not a mortal challenge. It is just a convenient shortcut, much easier than hunting monsters through the map. The first floor, full of weak monsters, was not a defense. They used it as a gym, training each ability safely before going up. The realization finally hits while he bleeds. He was too careful not to kill them, wanting to maximize the harvest, blind from the cursed manual. The answer to his blind devotion is the steel. Without hesitation, the hero strikes the final blow, turning all the preparation into a bloodbath. The world loses its color and the air is lacking. In his last breath, the dread takes over, not of death, but of the total insignificance of his grand plan. Fallen at the enemy's feet, he hears the cruel truth. When the tower gets boring, just kill the final boss so the system resets and brings novelties. He smiles like an adrenaline addict. The castle, the life of the king, all of this was nothing more than an amusement park ideal for these lunatics. The final humiliation is not death, it is gratitude. They laugh and call him Godfather, celebrating how well he fed them with easy experience. Their gratitude is the final proof of failure. They do not see him as a threat, but as the owner of a park, thanking for the good hunt. Godfather? His mind shatters with this word. His supreme tower, his pride, was reduced to a mere hunting field for their amusement. The hero's smile is disgusting. He admits that many died, but it matters little the lives lost as long as he has gained fame and glory in the process. The blade rises for the mercy strike. The goodbye sounds so casual, as if he were just ending a boring work shift. The king's teeth grind with enough strength to break. How does a hero dare treat him like this? His entire existence has become a bad joke. The humiliation burns more than the wounds. If this is the result. Then what the hell were those patterns of the Demon King that he followed blindly? But he refuses. He cannot accept this pathetic end. Die in vain like a simple step in the ladder of success of an arrogant human? Never. The fury explodes, rejecting reality. In a last roar of defiance that tears his throat, he proclaims his identity. He is the Demon King, but fate is cruel and indifferent to the scream. The sound of steel cutting flesh silences the protest, a dry noise that decrees the end of his era. The darkness consumes him together with the blade. His vision splits in half as well as his pride, and all that remains is the absolute silence of death. The vision darkens and the faces of those damned begin to blur. They look at him not as a worthy enemy, but as a task already concluded. The cold ceiling of the castle is the last thing he sees. The warm blood spreads across the floor, marking the place where his legend should have reigned. He hears their footsteps moving away. The sound of the boots against the floor echoes like hammer blows on the pride, leaving him behind like disposable trash. But the hatred does not die with the body. Those who dare look from above, who mock his existence, will not leave unpunished. With the little strength that remains, he fixes his gaze on the enemy's back, engraves each detail, each movement. His will refuses to fade now. They will pay. Each laugh, each mockery, each drop of blood. The bill has come and he guarantees that the price will be much higher than they imagine. The hero claims his horns as a trophy, as if he were a hunted animal. This disgusting greed will be the fuel for the final gambit. Suddenly the air changes. Something in the energy of the environment makes the hero stop. He feels the danger, the anomaly that arises from the corpse he thought he had defeated. Even if it costs the rest of his essence, the king activates the forbidden magic. It does not matter if he ceases to exist as long as he takes all of them along. The expression of the human changes from arrogance to pure terror. He realizes it too late. The game is not over. The true revenge begins now. The forbidden energy releases itself with an uncontrollable violence. It is not just a magical explosion, it is the total collapse of his own vital essence. The arrogant smile of the hero disappears. He screams in panic for everyone to run, realizing that he fell into the final suicidal trap. But there is nowhere to run. The shockwave swallows everything ahead, disintegrating stone and flesh without distinction. The tower becomes their tomb. He sees the shadows of those who mocked him being vaporized. The army he created is swept from existence by his last act of pure resentment. While his consciousness dissolves in the light, the epiphany hits him. The manual was wrong. The honor, the rules, the pattern, all of that was his ruin. If he had not been so foolish in following those cursed guidelines, if he had acted like a true monster, the result would be different. If destiny gives only one more chance, he swears by the destroyed soul, screw the manual, screw the patterns. He will do everything his own way. The tower collapses, taking the weak past with it. Next time there will be no training nor mercy. He will bring the true hell to this world. The physical world disappears, giving place to a cold and silent void. Distorted voices echo in the darkness, like an ancient spell going back in time. Suddenly the air fills his lungs with violence. The eyes open in shock, the heart races. He is still alive? Where is he? He looks around, still dizzy. The dirty stone ceiling and blood disappeared, replaced by a glass dome under the moonlight. Where the hell did he end up? He is not alone. He is surrounded by rows of young people in impeccable military uniforms. The silence of death was replaced by murmurs. What is this? He brings his hand to his face and feels the cold sweat. The heart beats strongly in his chest, pumping warm blood. It is unbelievable, but he really is alive. A shrill voice breaks his thoughts, shouting his name. Berje Deias. It had been so long since he heard his name said without an insult attached. His feet move almost on their own, guided by instinct. The presenter urges him, impatient. Everything feels like a bizarre and vivid dream too real to be false. While he walks through the hall, the familiarity of the environment hits him like a physical punch. He knows this place. He knows exactly where he is stepping. The old director is in front of him, complaining about the slowness. He asks indignantly why the student is acting strange right on the graduation day. The old man pins the red emblem on his chest. The insignia given only to the elite, the definitive proof that he graduated as an official Demon King of the Academy. The pieces of the puzzle finally fit together. The new insignia, the director alive, the uniform. There is only one logical explanation. He is back. He is exactly on the day of his graduation at the military academy 15 years in the past, before committing all those stupid mistakes. He does not know the reason for the return, but he understands the meaning. Destiny gave a second chance and he will not waste it with the same mistakes. The master of ceremonies calls him. As the best student, the summa cum laude, the honor of reciting the class oath falls on his shoulders. In front of him him, the giant hologram with the sacred laws appears. The commandments that dictated his past life and led him straight to ruin, the patterns of the Demon King. He stares at those shining letters and feels a bitter taste in his mouth. That text is not a guide, it is a death sentence. He memorized every comma of this damn text. He dedicated his youth to following these rules blindly, believing that they would lead him to glory. But the truth is cruel. Following this trash only turned him into a stepping stone, a disposable toy for the fame of those hypocrite heroes. Everyone waits. They want him to swear, before all the demonic elite, that he will dedicate his new life to following this same failed path. The anger boils inside him. The universe is joking? He just died because of this and now they want him to swear loyalty to this trash. The presenter insists, oblivious to the volcano about to explode. Read the patterns, he says. He has no idea how much the protagonist hates these words now. His teeth grind with such force that the sound echoes. The pressure is unbearable. He will not submit to this humiliation again. Before the entire assembly, his voice cuts the air with an absolute rejection. The "I refuse" reverberates through the hall, freezing the ceremony and shocking everyone. The silence is heavy. The other graduates look at each other with doubts stamped on their faces. Nobody understands what is happening with the model student. The anger explodes. He yells at the top of his lungs that I will not swear loyalty to something so stupid. Following these rules is not honor, it is complete idiocy. His eyes burn as he faces the director. He sentences the truth that nobody dares to say. The Demon King pattern is absolute garbage that needs to end. His words hit the crowd like a physical attack. The faces distort in pure horror. For them, insulting the sacred pattern is the greatest possible crime. The old director reacts in the worst way. The shock is so violent that his composure breaks together with his glasses, his magical pressure leaking through pure hatred. His disbelief turns into murderous fury in a second. He roars like a beast, unable to accept that his prodigy students spit on the entire legacy of the academy. The entire castle trembles with the repercussion of the act. A deafening crash marks the end of the peaceful ceremony and the beginning of a new chaotic era. It was in that moment that destiny turned. He stopped being this summa cum laude genius to become, officially, the worst and most hated graduate in history. The fist of the Archduke smashes the podium with violence. The insolence of the best student of the academy will not be tolerated without a response matching that fury. The Archduke Arcane foams with rage. He roars the boy's name with hatred, threatening to execute him right there for daring to insult the sacred patterns. But, surprisingly, he restrains himself. Because of the perfect grades and undeniable talent, they decide to give the boy one last chance to live. The condition is clear: take back what he said and ask forgiveness from the kingdom. Otherwise, his fate will be the immediate exile to the deadly region of Arein. The hall is taken by terrified murmurs. Arein is not just a bad place, it is the known graveyard where demon kings go to die. The nobles complain, thirsty for blood. For the elite, giving a chance to a criminal like him is an insult. They want to see the execution now. The Archduke reinforces the weight of the sentence with a somber look. Arein is the worst domain of all, an abyss that has already consumed the life of countless kings. But instead of fear, the protagonist's eyes shine with determination. He does not hesitate. He faces the old man and challenges, "You can send me there." The shock is general. With an arrogant smile, he makes clear that he will use that infernal place to prove that their precious patterns are trash. The old man's patience ends. He declares him a lost case and activates the magic. The red circle shines and the destiny is sealed. Arein is now his home. The sentence is brutal. He is stripped of all privileges and armies. The portal opens to spit him out alone, without any servant to serve him. While he falls far from the castle, the prohibition echoes. The doors of the demonic kingdom are locked for him until he conquers that cursed land. Despite the free fall, his mind is calm. He caused chaos at the graduation, so being thrown there was expected. Destiny at last repeats itself. Below him is Arein. It is not only a deadly zone, it is the cradle of his assassins. The place where the heroes who killed him are now. The irony is great. In the past life, he chose to come here out of arrogance, thinking that the strongest deserved the challenge of the maximum difficulty. This arrogance cost his life. He tried to play fair and follow rules while they exploited every loophole. But the mistake will not happen twice. The landing is not subtle. He collides with the frozen mountains like a meteor, an explosion that announces to the north that the true danger has arrived. He stands in the middle of the crater in the Ergest Mountains. The cutting wind of the northern continent greets him, but the fire of revenge burns more. This time will be different. He will not be the final boss waiting to die. He will turn the game around and use the same dirty coin they used against him. He threw the demon manual in the trash. To hunt these hypocrites, he will adopt their tactic. He will crush them using the hero's patterns. The cold steel cleans the dirt from the fall. Even exiled in this frozen hell, posture is vital. He prepares himself, for the true war demands an impeccable appearance. While buttoning the shirt, memory betrays him. By protocol, he should not be here alone. The system always assigned the best servant to the best king. Gordon Dyrek. He remembers that face well. The number one of the Demon Academy, with that calculating unseeing gaze hiding a dangerous ambition behind the glasses. The law was clear. While they learned to rule, the servants were trained to serve. It was a perfect pair, forged by the rules of the kingdom to dominate everything. Jealousy corroded the other graduates. For them, serving the summa cum laude was the supreme shortcut to success, and they deeply lamented their own weakness. Gordon maintained the diplomatic posture, praising the masters of the others with an educated smile. But his words hid the arrogance of someone who knows he is superior. The mask fell only when speaking Berge's name. His eyes shone with an intense fanaticism. For him, no other king came close to that supreme existence. He exalted the demon-dragon blood like a religion. For a genius like him, graduating in the same year was not luck, it was a divine blessing. His mind flew far, visualizing colossal statues of them over conquered worlds. The eternal legend of the great demon king and his loyal lieutenant. He wanted eternal glory at the king's side, certain that they would write history. But by refusing the patterns, Berge left that brilliant future and his loyal servant behind. But Berge's voice cut that delirious fantasy like a blade. This is wrong. The refusal echoed, shattering the perfect future. He saw Gordon's reaction in the audience. The genuine shock of seeing his idol, the one who should lead him to glory, throwing everything away without hesitation. Berge shouted with all the air in his lungs that the patterns were trash. It was not just a refusal, it was a direct attack on everything the servant believed in. For a rule fanatic like Gordon, that was a devastating mental blow. His world broke right there, along with the sanity of the moment. Back to the present, the blizzard reveals a familiar silhouette. Gordon is there, standing in the deep snow with his luggage, following the regulation. His look is a mix of shock and confusion. He trembles, but it is unknown if it is because of the freezing cold of Arein or the total disbelief in the situation. The sentence said the king would be alone, but the irony is great. The system forces the best demon to follow the best king, even to hell. He stares at the master in silence, the cutting wind shaking his thin clothes. He abandoned the comfort of the elite to come to this place of death. Berge does not show weakness. He extends his hand with the usual arrogance and greets him. Good to see you, Gordon. The most loyal and useful servant has finally arrived. But he ignores the greeting. The question that was stuck in his throat explodes. Why? Why would you do something like that? He demands answers. The shock breaks Gordon's mind. He screams in panic, certain that violating the sacred patterns and coming to this frozen hell is their death sentence. The protagonist tries to calm him with sarcasm, but it does not work. For him, the problem is not the stress or the hair, but the fact that his world has just collapsed. He observes that nervous breakdown and finds it strange. In his memory before the regression, Gordon was the embodiment of confidence and coldness. What changed this time? Suddenly, the fear becomes fanaticism. He smiles in a maniac way, stating that if it were not Arein, it wouldn't be fun. The impossible difficulty motivates him. The situation is new, but his change is frightening. Better not explain the regression now, or he will be sure that his king went insane. After the outburst, he breathes deeply in the cold air. He gathers the luggage in the snow, trying to recover his breath and what remained of his professional dignity. He adjusts his glasses and asks forgiveness for the scandal. The mask of perfect servant returns to his face and he swears to fulfill his duty, accepting the new reality. The strategist goes into action. He points out that the terrain is isolated and full of monsters, concluding that it is the worst possible place to build the base. The king ignores the servant's logic. With a sharp movement, he drives the red artifact into the hard snow and decrees, the tower will be raised exactly there and now. It is the tower seed, the supreme item that, when planted in the ground and fed with royal blood, will make the fortress sprout from the earth. The first rule requires that the tower be visible and accessible. The manual forbids hostile places only to make life easier for the damn heroes. Gordon panics, shouting that he is throwing away his pride. To him, violating the sacred rules is a betrayal of their own race. Berge does not blame him. He understands the disgust in his gaze. For a demon, faith in the patterns is something carved deeply into the soul and bones. It is impossible to reject this brainwashing without facing death head-on. He knows this because before dying he was as blind as him. But the pain of betrayal opened his eyes. He squeezes his hand tightly, using his own physical pain to focus on the reality he needs to change. He lets his blood drip onto the seed and decrees, the patterns are trash. Trying to play fair in a hell like Arein would be suicide. Gordon's speech dies in his throat. He finally realizes that the master is not just talking, he is acting. The magic begins to respond. A deep rumble echoes through the frozen mountains. The earth trembles violently, as if a colossal beast were waking beneath the snow. The seed absorbs the sacrifice and shines with an intense crimson. The power contained there explodes, distorting the air around it with its pressure. The ground ruptures in an eruption of energy. The fortress will not be built brick by brick. It will be born from absolute power and will. Red energy explodes in the snow with violence. The magic circle expands, covering the entire frozen plateau with overwhelming magical pressure. He smiles at the chaos. Choosing Arein was not suicide, it was pure strategy. This place is infested with heroes, and that is exactly what he needs. The system responds to the call. The tower recognizes the demon dragon lineage and his name. The contract is sealed and the summoning begins. The earth splits and the colossus of black stone emerges. It is not a common construction. It is a magical fortress sprouting from the frozen ground like a mountain. He explains the cruel truth. The heroes discovered how the tower works. They used the demon's blind obedience to the rules to turn their home into a tomb. Gordon finally understands the point. The old rules did not protect the demons, they served the humans. They were, in truth, the heroes' patterns. The completed structure pierces the sky. A dark and imposing citadel, raised in the heart of enemy territory, defying the whiteness of the snow. Gordon looks up, tiny before that greatness. The fear in his eyes blends with respect. The impossible was accomplished before him. Without wasting time, the king invites his lieutenant to enter. The gigantic gates open. The cold outside is left behind. Now they are in his domain. The first floor reveals itself. A vast and empty hall, echoing their footsteps. Here begins the new legend, built far from the rules that killed him. The reality of the new base is desolate. There are no monsters, traps, or servants. It is just an empty shell, a tower without privileges for an exiled king. They climb to the 5th floor, the royal chamber. The silence is absolute. There are no armies to command, only the echo of footsteps in this deserted hall. Gordon tries to rationalize the chaos. Since the tower is standing, he seeks comfort in the next rule of the manual. If we have a base, we need hostages. The second rule of the patterns is clear. The demon king must kidnap royalty, preferably someone vital to the throne, to maximize political chaos. Gordon asks permission to speak, trying to salvage the campaign. He believes that following protocol is the only way to obtain the demon energy they need. He opens the map and points to Corzin, the neighboring kingdom. His plan is simple: kidnap the crown princess and use the kingdom's fury as fuel. He expects the master to refuse and freak out again, but is surprised. Fine, we will do that. The dry response leaves him shocked, not understanding the change. But there is a condition. The king already has a target in mind and will go alone. Gordon must stay and protect the empty tower, for a king cannot lose his only home. He does not understand the game. Berje will not kidnap a princess to follow the rules. He will do it precisely to prove that their pattern is trash. Gordon sighs in relief, completely deluded. He thinks the king has returned to reason and that the stress has passed. Little does he know the real plan is far more insane. Gordon asks who the victim will be. Perched on the window, Berje prepares to depart. The answer to success is not in strength, but in cunning. He hesitates for a second, calculating the route. He will not go after the obvious. His target is a key piece precisely because she is considered useless by all of them. He flies far away, ignoring the neighbors. He crosses the continent to the southernmost nation, the kingdom of Hilderin, the farthest land possible from the base. Silence reigns in the palace. He lands softly on the stone balcony, observing the curtains that dance with the night wind in a forgotten tower. Through the glass, he sees a solitary young woman awake. She looks at the sky, unaware that darkness itself has descended to change her life forever. She is not the heir to the throne nor a powerful mage. She is the 13th princess, the figure with the least presence and political power in the entire royal lineage. Shock prints on her face when she sees him floating. With a dark smile, he decrees the end of her peace. "I came to take you with me, princess." The atmosphere in the room changes completely. She does not scream, she only stares at him with those large trembling eyes, paralyzed by the sudden presence. Fear seems to fight with curiosity. With an unsteady voice, she asks the only question she can form in the face of death. Who are you?" There is no reason to hide. With the full moon illuminating his horns, he introduces himself as her nightmare, the demon king who came to kidnap you. He expects panic, crying, a plea for help. But what he gets is something that defies all logic. A muffled sound of laughter escapes her lips. Instead of begging for her life, she throws a challenging look at him and asks an absurd question. "Are you sure you can handle me?" "What?" The king frowns, offended. She thinks his race is a joke. He is a demon king, the embodiment of power. Of course he can handle a human. Her answer breaks his brain. With a sweet smile and a frightening calm, she simply agrees. "Then I let you take me." This is too easy. No one accepts a kidnapping like this. He demands to know what she is plotting, but she says she already expected this fate for being a princess. He brings his face closer to hers, imposing pressure. He warns that he won't fall for cheap tricks, because his situation is far too desperate to fail now. She keeps the innocent smile and uses logic against him. After all, how could she have prepared a trap if she didn't even know he would come today? She has a point, but that calm, something is very wrong. It's as if she were waiting for a taxi, not for a monster. Even suspicious, he can't back down. He lifts the girl into his arms. She doesn't resist, light as a feather, but the weight of that strange smile bothers him more than any armor. He flies back north, cutting through the clouds with his prize. She looks at the scenery in awe, acting like a tourist instead of a hostage. They arrive at the tower. Gordon waits in the hall, shocked to see he actually returned with a woman. He tries to keep his composure, but the relief on his face is visible. He releases her onto the floor and introduces her. Gordon, always practical, asks where they are going to lock her up. The dungeon would be the standard, but she doesn't seem like a common prisoner. He decides she will stay on the 4th floor. After all, the tower is empty and it makes no difference. Gordon agrees, promising to keep a close eye on her. The girl accepts her fate with irritating tranquility. As she climbs the stairs, he watches her back. He doesn't know what she's hiding, but he feels he brought something dangerous inside. The harsh reality of captivity finally reveals itself. The floor is cold, the walls bare. This is not a fairy tale castle. It is a prison of stone. Looking around, loneliness hits her. Luxury is over. There are no soft pillows, no warm blankets, and no maid will come to answer her call. Memories of home sting. Here there are no flowered gardens, no gentle breeze of the kingdom. All that remains is the cold emptiness of this isolated tower. But instead of despair, a smile forms on the princess's face. She realizes that compared to certain death, this empty room is an acceptable luxury. As she settles in, the king's attention is drawn to an unexpected invitation. The Beast Tower wants his presence immediately in its domain. Gordon thinks it's a welcome party, but Berje is no fool. This is a hierarchy test, a cheap attempt to intimidate him upon arrival. Arein is the only place where Demon King's pride breaks. The environment is so hostile they are forced to forge pathetic alliances. Before he ignored them. Now he sees an opportunity. If they want to play politics, he will join in and use them as steps to rise. They reach enemy territory. The Beast Tower rises in the forest, an ancient fortress reflecting the savage brutality of its master. And there he is, Draxon the Beast King, a veteran monster who has ruled this patch of hell for 70 years, devouring his prey. The reception is hostile. He stares at him with red eyes and mocks his fame, saying the rookie who defied the rules doesn't impress him. Berje is unfazed by his size. He holds the gaze and pushes back. Did you call me here to fight or to talk? Say it. His laughter echoes through the hall. He admits he's not acting alone. The Archduke ordered him to be Berje's personal jailer and overseer. Instead of fear, he responds with disdain. He calls the Archduke a loud old vampire, treating their highest authority like an inside joke. The provocation lands. Draxon growls, incredulous at the audacity. To him, insulting the Archduke is a crime demanding immediate death. With a violent motion, he stomps on the flesh he was eating. The sound of bones crushing against the stone floor serves as a brutal warning of his strength. He points to the mess and gives a humiliating ultimatum. Lick it, he orders, offering forgiveness in exchange for the rookie's complete dignity. The protagonist stays calm before the offense. The enemy thinks he is here to be punished, but he has no idea of the real danger. With a dark smile, he quotes the manual they worship. According to orthodoxy, demon kings cannot kill each other, he reminds him. But that protection is an illusion. The word, however, leaves his lips and the atmosphere shifts, becoming instantly heavy as lead. He releases his suppressed power. The ground splits beneath his feet and a storm of red energy sweeps through the hall, shattering the rival's arrogance. He stares at the fear in the beast's eyes and asks, "Do you really think I'd follow that rule?" To him, that code is just paper to burn. The opponent's realization hits. Cold sweat runs down his fur as he stammers before that aura. Now he knows, the real monster has arrived. Draxon tries to use the Archduke's name as a shield, stuttering about deadlines and authority, but the cold sweat betrays that his spirit is already broken. Berje turns his back and walks toward the exit. With total indifference, he cuts the speech short, announcing that the princess has already been properly kidnapped. Gordon follows as he leaves the last provocation hanging in the air. He says the girl is his type, leaving the beasts behind confused at the audacity. They leave the beast territory and return to the fortress. The Black Tower rises imposingly in the snow, the only place where his will is law. In the hall, Gordon praises the majestic posture. The king dismisses the flattery. He only ensured that coward won't try anything stupid for now, but caution is vital. He orders Gordon to go check on the prisoner immediately. He needs to figure out the best way to use that strange girl. As the servant departs, the echo of footsteps fills the stone corridor. Silence returns to the throne room, bringing with it the weight of reality in this exile. The situation is problematic. If this is the attitude of all the kings of Arein, surviving here will be far more irritating than he calculated. The price for rejecting orthodoxy is high, but staring into the emptiness, he is certain, even if he went back 1,000 times, he would make the same choice again. His honor is all he has. He can face the entire hell, but he would rather die than bow his head to that garbage system. He decides to restart from zero without making mistakes. Since he kidnapped a low-rank princess, he expects a pitiful amount of energy in return, but the system defies logic. The number 13,219 shines on the screen. Cold sweat runs down. How the hell is a hostage considered useless worth that fortune? Before he can process this miscalculation, an alert appears. A video message arrives sent directly from the Beast Tower. It is Draxon. The arrogant wolf has changed his tone, acting like a generous and benevolent veteran, sending a welcome gift to the rookie. Berje receives the transferred item. He is impressed by the quality and begins to doubt. Was that wolf's stupidity just an act? Suddenly, instinct screams. A chill runs down his spine and his expression changes. Something is very wrong. That wasn't a normal gift. Gordon bursts into the hall, pale and screaming. The panic in his voice confirms the bad premonition. Something drastic is happening on the 4th floor. Upon arriving there, the cold stone is gone. The environment has been taken over by a vibrant light, vegetation, and butterflies. A life that does not belong to demons. The Demon King freezes, incredulous. Where there should be an empty prisoner's room, now there is a fairy tale garden sprouting from the ground. The system confirms the anomaly, naturalization in progress. Draxon's gift was not a weapon, it was a seed to terraform the tower. The room became a sanctuary of spirits and slimes. A vibrant magical ecosystem that was created, without any doubt, by that girl's absurd power. His mind races. Manipulating nature on this level requires total mastery of the 4 elements. There is only one legendary spiritualist capable of this in the world. She confirms his fear with an innocent smile. She is not the useless one he was looking for. She introduces herself as Ernan, the powerful first princess of the kingdom. The ground disappears under his feet and cold sweat falls. The reality of the colossal mistake hits him violently. He made the worst strategic error possible. She laughs, realizing he confused her with her weak sister, Elena. He aimed at the most useless piece on the board and ended up stealing their ultimate weapon. While he panics, the kingdom of Hildren collapses. The news of the crown jewel's kidnapping spreads, turning peace into chaos. The king loses his sanity. With eyes injected with pure fury, he orders every hero and soldier in the country to gather immediately for total war. A colossal army marches screaming for blood. Berje wanted to avoid problems and farm in peace, but unintentionally he just pulled the aggro of the whole world. With a mischievous smile, she asks if he is capable of handling her. The provocation is not about combat, but about something much more problematic. His mind works fast. Ernan Hildren is known for having monstrous elemental mana. How the hell did he not detect that energy before? She reveals the secret, a ring inheritance of the royal family, capable of completely hiding mana, a cheating item that fooled his dragon senses. The game turned. She gives him the option of sending her back, knowing he is in a dead end. Returning the hostage now would be admitting defeat. If he sends her back, he will be ridiculed by the other demon kings. His pride and reputation in Arein would be destroyed before even starting. He has no choice. He swallows hard and makes the difficult decision. He will have to keep this ticking time bomb here and hope the plan doesn't explode in his face. Suddenly the system beeps. A red alert flashes in front of him, indicating a massive amount of directed fury coming his way. The value spikes, 19,521 points. Almost 20,000. Just for kidnapping the wrong princess, he gained more energy than he ever dreamed of getting so soon. He faces the girl with seriousness. It doesn't matter if she is the 1st or the 13th, or if she has the power of a god. She is still a hostage. Far away in the kingdom of Hildren, the bells ring. The human war machine begins to move, preparing a crusade to rescue their precious jewel. The king roars from his throne, the fury of a father echoing through the hall. He does not want negotiations, he demands the demon's head and the return of his daughter. The counselors try to calm the storm. They beg for patience, for they don't even know which of the demon kings committed such insanity. But logic does not work against hatred. The monarch explodes, accusing his generals of incompetence while the princess is in the claws of evil. In the midst of the chaos, a doubt arises. The strategists begin eliminating suspects. The king of lust is already occupied with another royal kidnapping. The counselor points out the strangeness of the situation. A demon king just died for greed. Who would be foolish enough to repeat the mistake now? The deduction strikes the nobles like lightning. Silence falls over the council as they process the only possible explanation for such a suicidal act. The king's hand crushes the arm of the golden throne. The pressure in the air is suffocating, mixing royal authority with the bloodlust of a vengeful father. The king reaches the final conclusion with a murderous look. Only a rookie, someone ignorant of the danger, would dare challenge the kingdom like this. Suddenly a report arrives. The teleportation magic was traced. The trail leads directly north, pointing to the dangerous Ergest Mountains. The name of the place makes the king freeze. He knows what exists there. The enemy did not flee to a common castle, but to the most hostile hostile terrain in the world. The solitary tower in the Ergest Mountains stands out in the white vastness. It is there that Demon King Berje awaits the storm he himself created. Gordon, always cautious, warns about the imminent arrival of the army. He fears that the full force of a human kingdom will be too much for the two of them. But instead of concern, a sly smile appears on the master's face. He still thinks like a common demon, trapped in the fear of the enemy's numerical strength. He reassures the lieutenant with an absolute certainty. The royal army will never arrive here. The strategy does not depend on strength, but on geography. He points to the map. Hildren is in the far south and they are in the north. To get here, they would have to violate the borders of dozens of nations. No country would allow a foreign army in their lands. The king's only option will be to hire a private force, the Guild of Heroes. Far away, the prediction comes true. The king, blocked by international politics, is forced to swallow his pride and call the mercenaries. The distress request arrives at the imposing tower of the guild, the place where warriors gather who fight not for honor, but for the highest payment. But the reaction is panic. Upon reading Ergest Mountains, their courage disappears. Nobody wants to risk their lives in that frozen hell, not even for the princess. That was the plan from the beginning. Greedy heroes hate real risks. By isolating himself in danger, he created the perfect barrier against them. Gordon watches the master with a mix of doubt and admiration. He realizes that his knowledge about this hell is far too deep for a rookie. His intuition nearly hits the mark. He feels that the king moves on this strategic board like someone who has already played this game before. In the palace, the king's frustration explodes. He yells indignantly upon discovering that none of those supposed heroes accepted the suicidal mission. The bitter reality hits the monarch. In Arein, the word hero is synonymous with mercenary. Without guaranteed profit, they won't lift a finger. He bought time, but time does not win wars. Berje looks at the resources and the math is cruel. He does not have energy to stop what will come. He knows the terror that approaches. The underscore of the heroes that massacred him is still fresh in memory. The fear is his fuel. He needs to change the tactic. He calls Gordon and drops the bomb. Contact Draxon. We are going to sell our precious demon energy for human money. His reaction is priceless. His eyes almost jump out of their sockets and his voice fails. For a demon, selling energy is an unthinkable heresy. He falls into despair, listing the priceless value of their essence. Trading the power to evolve the species for human coins? Madness. The king remains calm on the throne. The energy he has is useless against an army, but a mountain of human gold that can buy victory. They arrive at the fortress city of Holton Work, the only point of civilization near the mountains. This is where the plan to buy victory will begin. He walks confidently to the main gate. The guards block the passage immediately, demanding identification to enter the border area. The guards stare at him with suspicion. For them, a mercenary wandering alone near the Ergest Mountains is not brave, he is just a lunatic or a spy. He wastes no time arguing. He tosses a gold coin into the air, and the sound of money makes their hostile attitude disappear much faster than magic. He knows human greed well. He suggests the usual division of the bribe and passes by them without being searched. Money is the key that opens any door. The square is busy, but he has no time for tourism. He needs to find the right place to spend the gold, so he goes straight to look for a guide. He finds the target, the Guild of the Scarlet Falcons. Inside, the atmosphere is absolute laziness, with mercenaries drinking instead of training for battle. He listens to their conversation. They love this place because the kingdom's soldiers do the dirty work against monsters, while they only profit easily. They laugh at the rumors about the tower. They say it is a lie because, in their limited minds, no demon king would build a base so far away. And the kidnapping of the princess? For them, it is a joke. The idea of a king traveling the entire continent just for a kidnapping sounds too absurd to be true. They mock the Guild of Heroes, convinced that the refusal of the job was not out of fear of death, but just a cheap negotiation tactic. Their leader yells that it is all a theater. For them, the princess and the danger are just bargaining chips that heroes use to extort more gold. The tavern explodes in laughter. They all agree that heroes are crazy about money, completely blind to the fact that the real danger is listening. I see, so that's how it is. The cold voice cuts their joy. Berje emerges from the shadows behind the leader, with a smile that promises only pain. The mercenary falls backward, screaming in fright. The sudden presence of that mysterious man turns their arrogance into immediate panic. Berje praises their knowledge with sarcasm. He needs a guide, so he makes a simple offer: leave only one alive. The rest leave. But they choose violence. Drawing swords and daggers, the fools attack as a group, shouting that the intruder will not leave alive today. The response is brutal. Berje does not use magic, only pure physical strength. The sound of breaking bones fills the hall as he dismantles the group. Bodies fly through the air like rag dolls. The difference in power is absurd. He wipes the floor with the local elite without even taking his hands out of his pockets. The last giant standing tries a desperate attack with a club. He roars, not realizing that attacking a demon king is signing his own death certificate. target. The giant tries to fight back, but it is useless. With a single downward strike, the king crushes his defense, sinking the huge body into the wooden floor as if it were paper. The physical pain is surpassed by psychological terror. He stares at him with dilated pupils, stuttering the only word his broken mind can formulate, monster. The rest of the guild tries to react when they see the leader fall. Dozens of crossbowmen appear on the mezzanine, aiming their trembling weapons at him in desperation, but they are far too slow. He advances like a whirlwind of violence, destroying the wooden structures and throwing the shooters away before they can pull the trigger. The blood boils and he lets the murderous aura leak. A predatory smile splits his face, showing them that they are not facing a human but calamity itself. The hall becomes a people blender. Bodies fly in all directions, furniture turns into splinters and the screams of pain fill the air, silencing any previous bravado. Outside, the city continues its apathetic routine. The residents hear the crash of battle and just sigh, already used to the daily brutality of mercenaries. In seconds, the city's elite is sprawled on the ground, groaning among the rubble. Only he remains standing, looking at the chaos he caused with total indifference. He steps on the survivor's chest and makes the generous offer. He will live, but only if he answers all questions without trying any tricks. With the information obtained through force, he proceeds to the true destination. A luxurious mansion stands out in the poor city, the home of the one who truly rules here. They walk through the stone streets of the fortress city. The mercenary, now tame like a lamb, guides them to the true underworld of the local trade. The place is depressing, full of filthy cells. But his disappointment is not because of the cruelty, but because of the merchandise. He only sees weak and useless humans there. He stares at the guide coldly. The man trembles, clutching his coin pouch, when Berje demands to see the real stock. Don't make me waste time with common trash, he warns. Fear works better than any payment. He changes posture instantly, promising to take them to the VIP area where the true relics are. Gordon watches everything in silence. He realizes the irony. Human greed for money is as disgusting as demons' hunger for energy. In the end, they are the same. They descend to the deepest basement. The sound of footsteps on the cold stone announces the arrival of a new master for those forgotten goods. The guide opens the heavy iron doors. The environment changes. Here security is reinforced and the smell of despair is replaced by something far more valuable. The king explains his objective to Gordon. He does not want common servants. He is here for the otherworldly species, rare creatures that humans captured as trophies. And then he finds him. Chained in the darkness, an elf stares at him. His race is famous for their unshakable integrity, and it is exactly that quality he will corrupt. He smiles in front of his new acquisition. He doesn't need a warrior, he needs a spy. He will use his honesty to plant chaos and destroy the heroes from the inside. While Berje negotiates in the shadows, the light arrives at the palace. Hillen Cargill, the hero of Hilderin, enters the hall, answering the king's desperate call. The shining knight kneels with confidence. He not only promises the rescue, but swears to bring the head of the bold demon king as a victory trophy. With his hand on his chest, he seals his fate with the classic phrase, "In the name of justice." Little does he know that he is marching straight into a perfect trap. The plan is Machiavellian. He will use his race's natural fame as camouflage. He will plant this elf as a spy to instill chaos among the heroes. The logic is infallible. Humans blindly believe that elves are pure and innocent beings. They would never suspect a knife coming from that holy hand. He turns to the merchant and points at the target. The negotiation is direct. "I'm taking this one." And of course he points at Gordon, indicating who will pay the bill. The seller hesitates, thinking about the profit, but the king's murderous aura fills the room. "Do you have any objection?" Terror makes him accept any value immediately. Before taking him, he needs a moment alone. He orders everyone to leave. Gordon, worried, warns that the slave may be in a berserk fury state. He dismisses his caution with a wave. If that thing tries to attack him, it will be just another corpse in the count. He knows exactly what he's dealing with. The iron gate groans as it is opened. The sound echoes in the damp cell as he walks toward the darkness where the pride of that race was chained. He observes his deplorable state. A noble elf reduced to a caged animal. With a gesture of magic, he destroys the locks that held him to the dirty floor. He raises his head, alert. His nose sniffs the air and his eyes narrow. That energy. You are a demon? He perceives the danger immediately. The king ignores the obvious question and goes straight to the point. He didn't come to offer freedom, he came to sell hatred. "I am here to give you a chance to take revenge on the humans." He admits that the offer is tempting, but the doubt remains. Trusting demons is as hard as trusting the humans who enslaved him. He looks into his eyes and makes the proposal. He asks only for 50 years of loyalty. In exchange, he personally guarantees his safety and his freedom. For an elf, 50 years is a blink of an eye. He argues that this is much better than continuing to be humiliated by humans in this filthy cell. He touches the wand. How to trust someone who destroys the world tree. The demonic nature is a direct affront to everything he considers sacred. The argument is solid and catches Berje by surprise. He is not just a slave with anger, he is a devotee. Empty words will not work in this negotiation. He He smiles, accepting the challenge. If it is an absolute guarantee he wants to seal the agreement, then that is exactly what he will deliver now. He places his hand on his chest and invokes the magic. He swears by the patterns of the Demon King that he will fulfill his word and never touch the precious world tree. He knows that this oath is inviolable. In exchange, he demands that he swear by the tree that he will serve him faithfully during the entire period of the contract. A smile of respect appears on his face. He finds him strange, but the distrust has fallen. The agreement was finally sealed based on the ancient laws. He stands up as Granada, but he makes a hilarious mistake. He says he will only take the oath when he sees the true king, thinking that Berje is just a servant. He smiles and reveals the simple truth. He serves no one. I am the Demon King. The elf stares at him with an empty expression, trying to process the absurd. He bursts into hysterical laughter. For him, it is impossible. A king would never leave his fortress to buy slaves, for he would become weak far from the tower. Between tears of laughter, he mocks Berje's face. He says that if he really is the king, he will serve him not for 50 but for 100 years. His mouth is his grave. He teleports everyone to the 5th floor of the tower. The silence of the empty hall echoes the truth, and the smile on the elf's face disappears instantly. He sits on the throne and collects the debt. 100 years. Those were your words, not mine. The shock on his face is priceless when he realizes the joke became a real contract. He starts screaming that he fell into a scam. The problem is not that he is the king but the poverty of the place. He points at the emptiness, outraged by the total lack of furniture. Reality hits him hard. The first 3 floors have no traps, monsters, or treasures. It's just cold stone and echo, a completely non-existent defense. And the 4th floor? Instead of terrible beasts, he found butterflies and flowers. He yells, asking what kind of shameful tower doesn't have a single monster. Fear takes over. He is sure that they will be massacred by the heroes in less than a year and refuses to sink together with this ruined ship that the king created. But the exit door has already closed. The king's eyes shine with the purple magic of the bond. Did you forget? He asks with crushing pressure. We have a contract. The crushing pressure in the air leaves no doubt. His laughter dies in his throat. That dense aura confirms the impossible. He really is a demon king. Everything makes sense now. The tower is not empty out of neglect. The terrible monsters of the mountains didn't attack them because they fear the monster inside. Kneeling, he seals the pact. In the name of the world tree, Granada gives his loyalty for 100 years. The chance for revenge has finally appeared. His mind flies far. If the king himself came to get him, his mission must be glorious. He already imagines himself as the right-hand man in a global destruction plan. But Berje cuts his fantasy with the coldness of a practical tyrant. With a satisfied smile, he gives the first supreme order. Right, go make dinner. The elf's brain freezes. Question marks float over his head. He expected war and blood, not a request to become a house servant. Cut to the kitchen. The legendary spy now wears an apron and chops onions. His look screams frustration. I should be part of an evil plan. To make it worse, the hostage joins him with joy. The princess picks up a knife, surrounded by spirits, and asks to bake bread, turning the atmosphere into a sitcom. And so, on the 5th floor of the most dangerous fortress in the world, the demon king, the vengeful elf, and the kidnapped princess sit down for a civilized dinner. The elf cannot swallow the situation. He discreetly points at the girl beside him and stutters the obvious question, Boss, isn't this woman from the kingdom of? The king confirms her identity with the greatest naturalness in the world. Yes, at the table with them is Ernan, the jewel of the crown he stole by accident. The elf almost has a heart attack. Kidnapping the imperial heiress and bringing her to an empty tower? He screams that this is a guaranteed death sentence. Berje ignores his panic while cutting the steak. He reminds him that he didn't buy him to complain, but to solve. Sit and eat, he orders coldly. The tension disappears in an instant. He praises the seasoning and the princess smiles, saying that she helped, creating a bizarre domestic atmosphere that breaks the elf's mind. He takes him to the garden and explains the reality. If they have to fight inside there, they are already lost. The real battle cannot happen at his door. He reveals his true function. He doesn't want a bodyguard, he wants a saboteur. He will return to the human world to destroy the heroes from the inside. But a weak spy is useless. With a challenging smile, he calls him to a fight. He needs to see if his hatred has enough strength to back his words. To motivate him, he gives an insulting advantage. No magic, only one hand. And the prize? If he wins, 50 years of slavery will be forgiven. Greed shines in his eyes. He accepts immediately, shouting that he will rip off the king's head, barely able to contain the murderous excitement. He wastes no time. The wind howls when he charges. It is a direct and lethal attack, loaded with the pure will of a vengeful warrior. Granada descends with a storm of blows, desperate to win. But the king blocks every attack with humiliating ease, using only one hand. While dodging, he analyzes his technique. Slavery didn't rust him. He asks if he used the forest mana on the 4th floor to be so sharp. The compliment only irritates him more. He roars, concentrating all the magic into one blow, shouting that the master made a fatal mistake by choosing to fight an elf, but he forgot the terrain. Before he can strike, roots violently sprout from the ground, grabbing his leg and locking his movement. He is exposed. Even shouting about taking his 50 years back, his guard is wide open, a perfect invitation for the counterattack. Berje smiles. His determination is excellent, exactly what he needed to see. But now it is time to teach the real difference of power between the two. The shadow of the king engulfs his. He releases only a fraction of the murderous aura, enough to remind him that he is facing a predator. With glowing eyes, he assures that he will not use demonic magic. He promises to control his strength only enough to not turn him into paste. His realization comes too late. The warrior's pride disappears, replaced by pure panic upon noticing that the incoming blow is unstoppable. The impact shakes the entire mountain. Snow flies with the explosion, ending the small admission test with a boom that echoes across the whole valley. They arrive at Horton Walk, specifically at the HQ of the Scarlet Falcon's mercenaries. The rustic building hides the brute force the king intends to buy today. The reception has changed drastically. The leader, still bruised from the previous beating, now salutes with a forced smile of pure terror and respect. He makes the proposal to hire them for a year. Even humiliated, the man's eyes shine with the possibility of profit, asking anxiously about the budget. He wastes no time negotiating. He throws a heavy bag onto the wood, letting the gold overflow as an initial deposit to buy their soul. The sight of the fortune buys their loyalty instantly. They swear eternal love, but he knows well that mercenaries are only loyal to whoever pays the heaviest. But there is a condition. He pushes the elf forward and warns that he will be the lieutenant. They will have to obey a stranger if they want to see the color of the gold. The elf, with the cheeks swollen from the small test, introduces himself to the new colleagues. "Hello, my name is Granada," he says, holding the dignity that remains. The mercenaries stare at the new lieutenant with skepticism. A bunch of brutes looking sideways at a wounded elf who is now supposedly in charge of them. Tears fall, but not of joy. They realize the trap, stuck between an insane demon king and a vengeful elf as their new direct commander. But gold speaks loudly. They gather in a circle, accepting their fate. The team is formed, bandits led by a slave, financed by evil. He watches the group with satisfaction. They seem mediocre, but surviving in Ergest requires skill. They are the cheap and disposable tools he needs. As he prepares, he predicts the enemy's move. The kingdom is desperate and he knows exactly which hero would accept coming to this frozen hell. It is time to make the investment pay off. He gathers his new squad and announces with authority, "Scarlet Falcon's mercenaries, this is your first mission." His eyes burn with intensity. He doesn't want blood yet, he wants information. Investigate Hillen Cargill, the hero hired by the Kingdom of Hilderan. And that's it for today, guys. If you made it this far and enjoyed the content, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And if you want the continuation, let me know in the comments so I can bring it to you faster. See you next time, guys.